Hey, this is Vegabomber, and I'm here today with Brianne.
Hey.
That's right, you might have seen her from Keith Comics, and she's definitely one of the Valkyries, so throwing up the signs for the Valkyries. I haven't learned what the sign is yet.
We haven't made one, I have to come up with one.
Okay.
I'll work on it.
Okay, well, we'll get to that. Well, so you saw this movie.
Yep.
I saw it, online. They were trying to get this thing funded with Kickstarter and all those. Yeah, and there were a lot of people already shooting it down before they even saw the movie just because of the title. So you're a person that's Caucasian, supposedly, whatever that means. What did that title mean to you? Did that affect how you saw the movie, or what did you think?
Coming from a mixed race family, my mom's Puerto Rican, she's half Puerto Rican. I'm just Puerto Rican enough to get scholarships. But looking white, I get a lot of people thinking it's okay to make really racist jokes in front of me.
Yeah.
So I was curious because I think it's really valid. I took my very white boyfriend to go see it. And, he really liked it too. So I think people should get past the title.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all you people that were on the comment section saying horrible things, come on, you gotta go see the movie first before you can throw stones, or else, what goes around comes around, and we don't want that. So let's talk about this movie real quickly. This movie is about the experience of 4 black students going to a predominantly white school, Ivy League school, if you will. But each of the characters, though, is different. They're not the same black person.
Yeah, they're all unique characters, and I think it's the same issue you get writing women, write them as people and not a stereotype. And that's one thing I think the movie accomplished. They're all very different people with very different motives.
Yeah, that's right. And so you had one person who's kind of like the female Malcolm X figure, if you will. She wants to just stand up and kind of say some things that we all do when we get into college and we find our voice, and we're no longer the nerd in high school that eats paint chips and likes the rock groups like Kiss or something, right? So you got one girl who wants to be basically the female Malcolm X. You had another one, Lionel, who was, this is the guy who had the big hair. Everybody knows him. Everybody loves Chris.
Yeah.
The actor, his name is Vegabomber.
Yeah.
But he was there, and then he was somebody who actually is someone who likes people. He's attracted to people of the same sex. And so you had him. Then you had another female actress in the movie, where her idea was that she didn't really see why we needed to blame white people for everything. In fact, she was wearing blue contact lenses and kind of more adopting to, if you will, what is considered white. And then the last gentleman was a guy who was the son of one of the faculty members who has this secret competition going on with the dad. So if that isn't complicated enough, that's essentially how it started. So let's talk about the pros in this movie. What did you like about this movie, directed by Justin Simeon? First time director, by the way.
Yeah. I really liked it addressed some intersectional issues. So since the characters were all very different, it addresses, individual issues people have. Racism isn't going to be the same for every person.
Correct.
So they're going to come up against it in different arenas in their life, and I thought it really showed that. I thought it was really well written as far as character development, and yeah, sometimes people can be really awful and not realize it. I think it addressed it like that. I don't think it was preachy. I think it was more factual. And I really, really appreciated that.
See, and that was pretty good. And my positive for the movie, anybody that's going to start out with this as your first movie at tackling a topic that most people do not like to talk about, I have to give you a nod just for that.
Yeah.
That's some chutzpah to start off with that right off the bat.
A lot of guts.
And then I would say that he wasn't afraid to actually go there and take you to some of the comments that we've heard a million times that people like to say, which I thought was great. And then we got to hear the other jokes coming back the other direction too. So it wasn't just the black people making jokes at white people, you would also hear them back, and then even some of the black characters even made jokes about the other black characters.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think you were laughing at anybody.
Right.
You were laughing with the characters about, hey, this really happens, and it's ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah, you were laughing with them.
And I think that for him being a first-time director as well, I thought that the idea that he picked a good cast.
He really did.
Didn't you think?
I got excited because 2 of them were from Veronica Mars.
Okay.
And I was like, I love you too. I have to see see this movie.
Yeah, I mean, and everybody will kind of imagine that if you've seen School Days by Spike Lee, or if you've seen Do the Right Thing, there's a bit like that in there, and then maybe Higher Learning. I believe that was Singleton that did that one. But it touched on these same kind of topics, except for this time, it's more extreme.
It really was, yeah. I think it takes it to a place that we're at now.
Yes.
When those movies were made, it was for what was happening then, but I think now there's a host of other issues.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that it was great that he started with that title and he didn't back away from it.
No,
Because he could have, you know what I mean? Because he could have said something more Pollyannish, if you will, and that would have probably brought more people to it. But he put something up that he knew was going to be polarizing, and so for him to continue to do that anyway, and then I would applaud anybody who went to go see the movie, they're not a person of color, because if we want to get Hollywood to quit thinking that you'll only go see movies where there's white superheroes named Chris every time, which a lot of people say that, so I'm not the originator of that, but I do want to say that. I think this shows also that Justin Simeon does see something about the next generation of moviegoers. They will go see a movie that doesn't have a predominantly white cast, or predominantly white male cast.
Yeah, and when I went to go see the movie, there were about 20 people in the theater, and there were only 3 people of color there. The rest were white, and I think they're going, hey, this movie is addressed to me. I should probably go see it.
Yes. Yes.
So it was really interesting. It's clearly an all-black cast, or majority black cast, will still attract white people. We just want to see good movies.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think that's what he handled really well. I'm glad that he pushed that envelope, because now, and of course, one of the things I didn't like too much, I guess if we could move into some of the negatives, was, well, it wasn't a wide enough release, I think. I really think that's going to hurt it to some big degree.
It took me a long time to find a theater near me that was showing it. So I had to drive a ways, but yeah, if it would have gotten a wider release, which I understand he probably didn't have a whole lot of control over.
Yeah, he was probably just glad to get his first movie out there, you know, from that perspective. But as far as the film goes, technically, I think there were moments in the film where it did lose focus. It kind of ran up, knocked on the door, and then right when you were ready to answer, it kind of stepped away from the door. But then other scenes, it just laid right into it. It just sat there for a while. So I would think my only negative was that sometimes the pacing kind of went some places that I wasn't sure I really was ready to go yet.
There were some times where I'm like, okay, I'm done with this scene in my head. Let's move on to someone else's story I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
So the pacing definitely got a little slow. And then there's some parts of the plot where I was thinking, I'm not really sure. Not really sure what happened there.
Absolutely.
So it took some discussion with my boyfriend afterward, going, "Oh, this is what happened there, and that's what. Okay, I get it now." But yeah.
No,
so those are my critiques. So that's my biggest critique with the movie. I have to say, overall, that's good. I enjoyed it. I would probably watch it again.
Yeah, and I think that this movie could be watched with a group of people.
Yeah,
to say if you want, right? If you wanted to say, hey, listen, if you really wanted to get a good idea of what both sides are kind of saying about each other, and then how some people are dealing with it, because I think you see, without, again, I'm trying not to give away some spoilers here, because this is the non-spoiler edition if you haven't guessed. But I would say that there's definitely, I would say the weak point, another weak point would be the ending of the movie. I really felt like it didn't resolve well. What did you think?
I wanted something a little stronger and more decisive at the end. Without giving anything away, I feel like it builds up to this high point, and then it sort of leaves me there at the end.
I would agree. I mean, he's great at building this tension and then giving you these wonderful crescendos, but then the aftermath should tie up some things along the way. But you really have to sit back and go, now wait a minute, what did I see? You have to go back almost, by
scene by scene.
Scene by scene
so
to remember.
The logistics of the plot, for the most part, got tied up, but I want to know, how does this person in their brain resolve what they've just been through? And that's what I felt like I was lacking.
Yeah. And I would say that's true, and I think out of the 4 characters, I think we saw some resolve for maybe one of them, Sam's character. But not necessarily...
Yeah, everyone else, I didn't really learn what they learned from what happened.
Yeah, so I think he had some great... It was definitely a character-driven film.
Oh, for sure.
It wasn't being pushed necessarily so much about plots as it was about talking points. But then at some points with talking points, as you know, unless you're really clear, you can send people on many different directions if you don't cut it right when you do the editing of different scenes in. So yeah, there were some things where I did walk out and I just kind of thought, I don't know how I feel about that because I don't know that I ever invested in it because I don't think I ever got enough in some places. Yeah, so that's pretty consistent for you too?
That was for me too.
Yeah. But overall, let's say overall, so here's what we do in Vegabomber land. If you've been watching for a while, you know. We have either a pass or fail system here. We don't do that middle ground stuff. We're going to tell you what it really is like so that you don't waste your money at the theater. You can go see it on Netflix or something like that. So in Vegabomber land, if a movie's good, we say it's blown up. Right, like a balloon, we put air in it now, it's a toy, it's fun, and you can even travel as the hot air balloon. But if a movie's bad, we also have another kind of blowing up, and that's kind of getting blown up, like detonated, because it's like a building that's an eyesore that needs to come down. And so we'll just start with you first, Brianne. For you, what was your overall impression about this movie?
I'd say it's blown up, in a good way. I think it's blown up because there are certain people that I know who I really want to say, you need to watch this movie. You really do. So for me to want to recommend it to somebody, it's blown up.
Okay. Yeah, and I would have to say myself, I'm going to look at it from the entertainment value. Was there entertainment value? Yes. Critically, were there some holes? Yes, but I have to give them a mulligan. I have to give Justin a mulligan because this is his first film. So I think it's kind of unfair to compare him to Spike Lee and John Singleton and other people who've kind of addressed this before. So I'm going to say the same thing. Vegabomber is also going to say this movie is blowing up. So that's all we got today. If you guys want to get a chance to run to the theater, you're going to have to do it now before it gets out of there fast because it doesn't have a very wide release. But it'll definitely have you talking. I don't think this movie is supposed to end the conversation, but I do believe it's supposed to start the conversations. And I think you can go some interesting places with some of your friends. So that's it. That's all we have for you now. This again is Brianne, and she's one of the Valkyries. And if you're here in Dallas, you need to pop in to Keith's Comics because she'll be there and just say hi and she can point you out and tell you what the good stuff is. And you know me, I'm always out there. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. It's your boy Vegabomber, and I'm out. Yep!